Okay, so hopefully by now you've got your idea. Out of all the ideas you had, you've chosen one that fits in within the main markets, which we know as wealth, health, or relationships. Obviously, we looked at a sub-market and niches, and you perhaps have a unique perspective that you can put forward that is your particular niche, some blue ocean, but not too far that nobody's there. Once you have that together, you're hopefully going to get a minimum viable product. And when you get this, you're going to think about yourself, how do I promote this? Now, you don't want a garage full of products, okay, because that can lead to bankruptcy. So what you're going to do is you obviously getting your minimum viable product, hopefully in a digital format, as we've discussed in the past, and now you want to start promoting. So you need to think of what are the best tweaks you can make to get the maximum results. And you need some marketing strategies that are going to make you the most money. As usual, bam! This is Info Products, and I'm John Harris coming to you live from London. Let's dive right in. So when we look at tweaks, we want to decide now a few points and a few ideas of what we can look at and what we need to be thinking about when we look about promoting our product. So what is the most marketing we can get with the least amount of work and for the longest longevity to have the maximum amount of time that they're relevant? So there are 5 that we're going to look at, and this list we need to think about. They're not necessarily the easiest things to do, so let's just understand that. They're not very, very difficult, some of them. Some are more than others, and depending what level you take it to. It's very important to understand you can take these and do a light version of some of these things. So the first is to write a book. We've discussed that you can go and get a PLR, or you can get an ebook written. You can get it done on Fiverr and places. You can look it up. You can have your topic researched, and you can get an ebook done for you, okay, with some of your input, obviously, but you can get that done for you fairly rapidly. Or you can write a really good book yourself. But understand the time it takes to write a really good book, normally about a year, if you're going to do something that's of good value. So it's not easy. But you can get other books that can position you, and that's what you're looking to do. On that promotion side, it's going to position you as the expert, the authority in that particular niche. People will then look at you as an expert. So it's very important. Next is speaking at events. And I've had the fortune of going to events in the United States in San Diego, where we've had people like Bo Eason, who's a great storyteller. I've been there with Andy Harrington, I've been there with Mike Keenings, I've been live with Brendan Bouchard, I've been with a lot of these guys when they've been on stage presenting and talking. And I want to tell you, they're very, very good at it. And you're not going to start there. But all of them, I will tell you this, everyone who has good traction online, the opposite is true. There's a paradox to it. They're also very good in format, in live, on stage, in an event. That is where they get a lot of their traction, because people like to have that experience, and that drives a lot of their traffic. Okay, so you need to be good at speaking, but you're going to start wherever you are. Do not fear it. Start somewhere and start talking and start building up and building up. Anything you do in life, if it's worth doing and it's fairly complex, you're not going to start it with the end. Failure, falling off a bicycle, trying something, these are normal. Okay, it's only as you continue doing it, you get better and better at it. So just laugh while you make your mistakes and carry on, continue. People aren't there to see you fail. They actually want you to do well, believe it or not, when you're having an event. They want to learn something from it. They want to understand your result, how you managed to get your result, and your story. Stories are very, very powerful. We are hardwired for stories. And that is why the power of an event, especially with a whole lot of stories built in, has such great impact. The next thing to look at are launches, and you're going to have your sequence, your email sequence to a list, and various ways of doing that. And it's what it's about. What is it that you're actually offering? Then you're going to look at why it's important. What is the benefits that it's going to drive for the people? And you're going to look at getting some social proof. Or you're going to look at then call to action, all on in your sales letter, in your sales video, VSL. That's the kind of thing you're going to be able to do. Launch are very important to get your product actually to the point of transfer of money, to get the transaction, the point of transaction. So you need to get people to buy, and that is where you're going to have your launch going out to other people's lists, to your list. Email is a very powerful format to do this. The next is your live casts. We've spoken about webinars as a format. When you do speaking events, if you're really that scared, you can then perhaps just do a webinar, and you then don't have to be in front of the public. You can do it through a digital format. Livecast is really where you have yourself or maybe a couple of people, and you're talking live, and you're basically doing a sales presentation on air and you're getting it out to the people to take action. Is a webinar, you're more behind the scene where you'll have a PowerPoint, perhaps a keynote presentation, and you're going through your presentation. And it may be something for free, again, to position you. Here, you're trying to maybe get a live cost where you're actually going to promote your product and get people to take action to buy. So those are a few things that you can think about. There are others that we won't dive into too much now, but those are very powerful ones. And once you've done them, you can do your, once your life cost is done, you can relaunch it again after a period of time and do it again. You can launches, obviously, on each product. You can relaunch and do new launches. Speaking events are all very, very powerful to keep in vogue. You could do those many times. Once you've got your speech down packed, it's basically in place, the same as the launch and the same as the live cast once you have all your scripting done. And with your book, of course, your book is always out there working for you as a silent salesman to position you. I just want to go over some points of street selling, and it's important to understand behind some of the psychology and what you're trying to attain behind the scenes. So the first one is to get attention, and a great way I saw this was through curiosity. I saw a long time ago a salesperson in London on the street with a suitcase, and he would have people coming to see what's in that suitcase, and he was selling a few, let's say, not too legitimate items, but he would sell. And then what he would do without a hawker's license, of course, when the old bill came around the corner, he'd show his case and run off and then start all over again. So that curiosity through the suitcase was very powerful. It got people to look to see what's happening. And that attention grabber, however you're going to grab attention, is the key step, curiosity. The next we want to look at is if you're doing any copy, whether it's from your emails, whether it's from sales letters, whatever copy, it must be easy to read. Do it where there's not too massive of paragraphs. Do short paragraphs, catchy paragraphs. You're just trying to get people to drive them through to the next point in their journey, on your sales journey. After that, you want to do is have a clear message. You don't want to have confusion. You don't want to be doing different offers. You need to sell one thing at a time, and you need to do one point at a time, do one thing at a time. The object of your header on an email is get them to read the next line. The object of the email itself is to get them to take action to go to the next step. The objective of a landing page is to get them to opt in to go to the order page. There's one thing you're trying to attain in each of these steps. Next on the list is urgency. So urgency and scarcity are fairly similar. You want to create that urgency that people need to act now because of the relevance. You may be using something like a time squeeze. You need to say, look, you need to act now before the shop window closes, only opening. The same as scarcity, where you're going to say, while stocks last, there are only so many seats left, and that kind of thing. So they're fairly similar. You're creating that need for somebody to take action, and you can do it by creating that time urgency, creating urgency now, or by having it scarce. They're not going to get a chance to get what it is that you're offering. And if it's something that's very valuable in a niche, and you have interest, and the people that are looking are interested in that, they'll want to take action to make sure they don't miss out. When you're going to entertaining and edutainment, you need to make sure that you're engaging. And whatever you're doing, you're writing and going on about, it's that entertainment value that's very powerful. The number one guy on YouTube is PewDiePie, and his whole program is basically to entertain you. So he's looking at videos and commenting, critiquing videos and swearing and playing with them, and he's got 100 million subscribers. So, and that's because he's entertaining, and my son watches him, and I have first-hand knowledge of this because he got me through 9.5 hours at Hong Kong on a long stayover before our next flight, and he managed to get us through that because we sat there laughing, watching him for that period of time. So it is very entertaining, and it's very powerful. Next is keep it to a minimum. You're not trying to overdo things. You want to minimize things to keep their simplicity, and you want to make sure that as I said, you're doing the one thing. So there's an objective, there's an end result. You want that everything that you're doing, there's an end result, and do it in the minimum way possible. When we're chunking down information, where it's not too small, too detailed, or not too blasé, too large. You want to have it where it's relevant. Next, we want to look at contrast. It's very important to try and do us vs them. It's very important to try and have something where people can compare it to something else and having a contradiction whereby it says us vs them. And you'll see that in the world of politics where you got your conservatives and your liberals. It's very powerful the way they're doing that, instead of trying to please everybody, you're going to take a position which may be somewhat controversial, but that's very important. Social proof is also important. Look, if you don't have a whole lot of testimonials yet, if you do, great, and you'll have those stories and you can have videos on those testimonials, and there are formats to run testimonials, which we discussed, or we will be discussing in depth a bit later. But if you don't have social proof, you can also put stats, indisputable facts that also can to give you that validity. The next thing we need to look at is props. It's pretty important that you have props. If you've ever been to Robert Kiyosaki's show, you'll see that he has a lot of props on stage so that you can understand his quadrant, that you can understand his income and his balance sheet, that you understand what's going on. So he'll have even those on stage. And obviously when you do a digital format, you'll see that the top sellers all have a digital mock-up. They need to, that mock-up adds great attention as far as getting action and people converting. They see something, and then they understand what they're paying for. So you'll see those mock-ups of books, of cassettes, of CDs, MP3s. They're all made there for people to see what they're going to be getting, and that has a huge capacity to get people to take action and see the value in what they're doing. Next is the congruence. So right from your copy, from your ads, from your promotions, your book, from your getting right through to the sales, to your events, you want to get a theme, a congruent, to build it out where you have your colors, your logos, you have your message, your taglines, the things that you stand for, that people understand is congruence. You don't want to be doing something with a product and you're saying something on stage that's not congruent. That's, in other words, there's a dichotomy and it's opposing one to the other. You want to make sure you're congruent in your message and your market right through, that you're using the medium that makes sense at the time, and everything fits in and runs smoothly. The journey for a potential client to come and engage with you and then go through your whole process to come into maybe live, very expensive consulting or coaching, that congruence needs to be there. Okay, so those are some of the points that you need to be thinking about when you're looking to promote yourself, and try and work it in a way that it makes sense. So what you want to do is write down 1 or 2 practical ideas you got for a product or service. And remember, we discussed the main areas that wealth, health, and relationships are really the main areas. And then there are sub-niches. I mean, when you talk about health, you can talk about diets and exercise. Then you can talk about different types of diets and keto diets, and it goes on, and you're getting in sub-niche it out, okay? So you've got to understand where you fit in. And you need to understand yourself very well, that what you're very, let's say, intuitive, and what makes sense for you, and what you're passionate about, and so forth, and what you have some knowledge or message you want to get out. It needs to be there. And then you want to write down those ideas for a book or podcast. I know people that have done podcasts with a specific idea of building their podcasts out, that they can then use those podcasts to have them transcribed to put them into a book. So you can utilize a lot of your information in different areas and reconstitute it from articles to videos. And you can, from video to article, the written word, and from there to audio, and you can do a lot of different things. Video is powerful because not only do people like video, but from there it's easier to put it out to other formats. Obviously, if you write an article, they're not going to be seeing you present anything. If they're seeing you going over a presentation, and then you take that same audio and you can take it and transcribe it, then you have it in a written format, an auditory format, and a visual format. So those are some things to think about. Podcasts are very, very powerful, and most people recognize that when it comes to traffic, when it comes to starting to promote yourself, a podcast is one of the best ways to do it, and you can start right there. So we have, as usual, got some places you can go to. You can go to our Facebook page, and you can get to the information products Facebook page. There's a link there with a free video to give you much more in-depth training. You can subscribe to us, and next week we're going to start to go into some copywriting, so that you can understand how you can take things a bit further forward into copywriting. So as usual, we will see you in the next episode.